Fellow builders of tomorrow's economy, we stand at a crossroads, not between capitalism and its alternatives, but between a system that works for everyone and one that serves only the few. For too long we've watched as the rules were quietly rewritten in Britain. While we work, innovate and create, the wealthiest among us pay lower tax rates than their assistants. This isn't just wrong. It's destroying the very foundations of the UK economy that we're inheriting. The time for polite debate is over, and the time for action is now. When the ultra-wealthy in Britain pay less than the middle class, that's not a quirk in the system, it's a betrayal of it. When capital gains receive preferential treatment over the sweat of your brow, that's not economic wisdom, it's rigged rules written by those who benefit. Look around you. 20 years ago our parents bought homes for 3 times their annual salary. Today in the UK, 7 times. This isn't natural economic evolution. It's a direct result of a tax system that accelerates wealth concentration while crushing opportunity for everyone else. Consider the fundamental truth about wealth in a healthy British economy. It must flow, not stagnate. When wealth concentrates at the top through specific mechanisms like the 20% capital gains tax rate versus the 40 to 45% income tax rate for high earners, it becomes like blood clotting in our economic arteries. The ultra-wealthy hoard assets in London property, offshore trusts in Jersey and the Cayman Islands, and financial instruments that create no real value. Meanwhile, the engine of our economy, consumer spending and small business growth, sputters and stalls. Let's be specific. When a hedge fund manager earns $1 million through carried interest, they pay half the tax rate of an NHS consultant earning £100,000 for actual work. When property developers utilise a substantial shareholders exemption to avoid capital gains, they're gaming a system that ordinary Britons can't access. When the super wealthy choose to hoard cash instead of allowing it to trickle down effectively for investment and research and development, they're exploiting loopholes that cost our treasury billions annually. An economy thrives when money circulates through all layers of society. When British workers earn fair wages and pay fair taxes, they spend on goods and services. When small and medium-sized businesses receive that revenue, they invest in growth and innovation. When investors see opportunity, they provide capital. This virtuous cycle built British prosperity, and unequal taxation has broken it. They tell us it's too hard to fix. They'll warn of capital flight to Singapore and Dubai. They'll insist we accept an economy where each generation does worse than the last. We reject their surrender and we demand better. Tax equality isn't some radical proposition. It's the bare minimum requirement for a functioning market economy. It's the foundation that allows genuine competition instead of inherited advantage. It's what makes capitalism capitalism instead of modern feudalism. When we equalise tax rates between labour and capital, we're not attacking success, we're redefining it. Success should come from creating value, not from exploiting loopholes. It should reflect innovation, not inheritance. It should reward risk-taking and not rent-seeking. To those who say this can't be done, we say, what built Britain's middle class of the 20th century? What funded the NHS and the infrastructure that makes our economy possible? What created the broad-based prosperity that defined British capitalism at its height? A tax system that demanded the wealthy contribute their fair share. We can restore that system. We must restore that system. This is a defining economic fight of our generation. Not left versus right, but future versus past. Not socialism versus capitalism, but fair markets versus rigged ones. Not immigrant versus native, but the everyman versus the super rich. Join us in demanding equal tax rates for equal incomes regardless of source. Capital gains tax the same as income. Closure of specific loopholes like the non-dom tax status, carried interest provisions and offshore trust arrangements. A properly funded HMRC with specialist units targeting high net worth tax avoidance. The defenders of the status quo are counting on our silence. They're betting we'll accept their fairy tales about job creators and capital formation while they extract more wealth from an economy we all build together. Prove them wrong. Stand up, speak out, and organise. True capitalism has always been about creative destruction, about new challenges displacing entrenched incumbents, about merit triumphing privilege. Tax equality isn't against these principles, it's essential to preserving them. This is our economy too, and we refuse to accept a system where the game is rigged before we even sit down to play. The revolution starts now, not with the overthrow of capitalism, but with its redemption. Not with abandoning markets, but with making them work as they should, for everyone. Join the fight for tax equality, for your future, for our economy, for a capitalism worthy of its promise. The time is now. The cause is just. And together, we will win.